Today's podcast is brought to you by Chikara Wrestle Factory, 4711 Wingate Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, specializing in lucha libre, porosu, European, British, and German styles, mixed martial arts, and American pro wrestling, all built into the curriculum at the Wrestle Factory, where they strive to create the most well-rounded performers active today. Hey, yo, Fro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click the subscribe button at the bottom of the page to show your support. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Fro Wrestling Podcast. In this episode, we're going to discuss all the news and rumors in the world of professional wrestling. More specifically, there's some exciting things going on last night in Ring of Honor. We're going to get to all that. Let's start today's news with a huge main event at a WWE house show in Buffalo, New York, where the match sees the return of Triple H and Finn Balor, as Triple H teams up with Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens and take on Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn, and Finn Balor. The match culminated with a flurry of finishing moves, and then Chris Jericho comes in, slides in out of nowhere, and hits Kevin Owens with the code breaker for the win. But in the match itself, tons of back and forth action. Finn Balor looked like the Finn of old. He did his amazing entrance that he always loves to do. You know, nothing like seeing the crowd response for this guy when he's standing on that turnbuckle and playing to the crowd. It's just awesome to see him get back in the ring. And one of the things that I like the most is Chris Jericho, as soon as Balor finishes his entrance, goes right up to him, gives him a handshake and a hug, and he really pumps him up to the crowd. I really appreciate a veteran wrestler like Chris Jericho really solidifying a new star and really giving his endorsement of that star to the crowd. In other WWE-related news, the WWE is going to present the first United Kingdom Championship live tour. It's going to be at Epic Studios on Saturday, May 6th at 7 o'clock, and then a follow-up show on Sunday, May 7th at 5 o'clock. The fans who go to those shows, they're going to get a chance to see the inaugural UK champion, Tyler Bate. Other people that are signed for the show include Trent Seven is going to be there, Pete Dunne, Mark Andrews, Wolfgang, Tyson T-Bone, Sam Gradwell, James Drake, Joe Connors, Dan Maloney, Saxton Huxley. So all the top stars from that UK tournament. Also, they're going to combine WWE's Cruiserweight division. The people from 205 Live are going to be there, including people like Rich Swann, Akira Tozawa, TJ Perkins, D. Brian Kendrick, and Tony Nese, which for me, that is an amazing pairing of the two different brands, the UK brand and the 205 Live brand, because the two of them line up so well. The wrestlers could really put on some amazing high-flying action, and it's something we should all be looking forward to see. I actually hope they broadcast some of those matches on the WWE Network, because it holds the promise of something pretty spectacular. Transitioning away from the WWE news, today's podcast episode is really focused on Ring of Honor. Last night was Ring of Honor's 15th anniversary show, and the show, it delivered from top to bottom. I'm going to go through each match, give you who the winners and the losers are from each opportunity. I'll give you a little more detail when we get to some of the important matches, but what an amazing moment for Ring of Honor. 15 years of just putting on amazing high-quality matches, and last night delivered just like they always have throughout that entire 15-year span. The show opened with Kenny King falling to Jay White. That match was actually unannounced. That wasn't originally a part of the card, but they added that at the end. Ring of Honor Television Championship number 1 contenders match was second up on the card. It saw Kazarian take on Hangman Page versus Chris Sabin versus Punisher Martinez versus Cheeseburger versus Silas Young. So if you think about all those people wrapped into that match, that is a ton of talent from a whole lot of different styles. You know, Punisher Martinez has been trying to establish himself as a main event star lately. Chris Sabin's a longtime star, former TNA world champion. Cheeseburger, Silas Young have really been killing it, both in Ring of Honor and in New Japan. Hangman Page is coming along great, and Kazarian is who Kazarian is. He's a longtime star, and it would be nice to see him elevated somewhat now that he is separated from Christopher Daniels. At the end of this match, Kazarian goes over and he becomes the number 1 contender to the Ring of Honor Television Championship. It'll be interesting to see where they take that going forward. The next match on the card saw Bully Ray make his in-ring debut for Ring of Honor, teaming with the Briscoes as they took on War Machine and Davey Boy Smith Jr. I think it's interesting that now that Davey Boy Smith Jr. is in Ring of Honor, his tag team partner in the Killer Elite squad, Vance Archer, he's not performing right now. He's on the shelf with a serious injury. That he's found a pretty cool way to integrate himself into storylines already in Ring of Honor. This match goes back and forth, but in the end, Bully Ray and the Briscoes pick up the win in Bully Ray's debut with the company. Number 1 contenders match, Jay Lethal takes on Bobby Fish. This match held the promise of all kinds of acrobatic and high spots, and they do that. They both hit all their high spots. In the end of the match, Bobby Fish is going for the win, and out of nowhere, Jay Lethal hits the lethal injection and picks up the win. Jay Lethal is the new number 1 contender to the World Championship. The Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championship was defended as the Kingdom defended against Dalton Castle and the boys. At the end of the day, Dalton Castle is really becoming an intriguing character. He's somebody that I think they really want to push hard, and I think they should. I wouldn't be opposed to him being in the main event picture. Put the World Championship on Dalton Castle once or twice, but at the end of the day, in this match, the Kingdom pick up the win and they retain their 6-man tag team championship. The Ring of Honor World Television Championship held some more luster now because Kazarian's challenging the winner, and this match was between Marty Scurll, the current champion, and Lio Rush, who's been touring all over the country doing all kinds of independent shows. At the end of the day, though, Marty Scurll picks up the win and retains the World Television Championship. In a street fight for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships, the finish of the match sees Jeff Hardy hit a swanton off a ladder onto tacks, and they pick up the win. The Hardy Boys defeat the Young Bucks and the Roppongi Vice to retain the Tag Team Championship. I know I've gone through the show relatively quickly, but that's because I needed my energy for this main event. The Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship between Adam Cole and Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels has contributed to Ring of Honor for the better part of the whole 15 years. The times that he left for TNA and places like that, I understand he wasn't in Ring of Honor at that time, but you knew that he had a lot of allegiance to the company, and he was a big part of why Ring of Honor took off initially to begin with. So in this match, typical match, back and forth, there's actually some jaw-jabbing from Adam Cole talking about how he's going to, Christopher Daniels is never going to win the championship. He starts trashing Daniels' wife, like all this just crazy stuff. The crowd is really against Cole in this. And then towards the end of the match, out comes Frankie Kazarian. He goes out, he grabs Daniels, who's out on the floor, throws him back into the ring. Adam Cole grabs the championship belt. They mock Daniels in the ring, both Kazarian and Adam Cole. As they're making fun of Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, he goes to hit Christopher Daniels with the championship belt, but he stops. And instead, he takes off his Bullet Club t-shirt and he's wearing an Addiction t-shirt. In that moment, all the fans exploded. Cole turns around and is nailed by Daniels. Best moonsault ever, and another one just for good measure, and a third best moonsault, and the pin. 1, 2, 3, and we have a new Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion in Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels finally gets his World Championship, something that is long overdue. Daniels and Kazarian celebrate in the ring together after the match. They've been a tag team for so long as the Addiction, even before that in TNA. Daniels has the original Ring of Honor World Championship in his hands, and he holds it up with the current version of the championship belt, which is a tear-jerking moment to see the evolution of this company over the last 15 years. And this is kind of like showcasing his pursuit of a championship over that same span. All the baby faces in the back on the roster, they all come out. They hoist Daniels up on their shoulder as he's raising both the championship belts over his head. It's just a heartwarming moment to see Christopher Daniels, a hardworking, insane talent, somebody who has been so over with the fans for so many years and has never been considered a main event talent in a lot of the places he stopped at, finally getting his just due. Congratulations to Christopher Daniels in what to me is one of the best moments I've seen on Ring of Honor television in a very, very long time. I don't know when they'll air this program. I hope it's sooner than later so you can all witness it. It is something truly special. In unrelated news, the Tampa Bay Lightning honored Thaddeus Ballard. If you don't know who that is, he is known as Titus O'Neil in WWE as the 32nd Lightning Community Hero Award winner for the 2016-17 season during the first period of their game the other night against the Minnesota Wild. He got a $50,000 donation in his name from the Lightning Foundation and the Lightning Community Heroes Program, which the money is going to go towards the United Way Suncoast Wheelchairs for Kids Academy Prep and Unsigned Preps Incorporated, which is just awesome. First, he wins like Father of the Year last year. Now he's winning this, and WWE has him being a heel. I don't get that. You could be capitalizing on this publicity, and clearly Titus O'Neil is a man's man. What an awesome, inspirational person to all people, whether you're wrestling fans or not. Congratulations to Titus O'Neil. What an amazing human being. Last night was the opening of the New Japan Cup in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, there's a few matches that were decided that were part of the tournament, and there were others that were just a part of the card. In the opening bout, Hirai Kawato, Raizuki Taguchi take on Tasha Michinoku and El Desperado from Suzuki Gun, which ends up at the end seeing Michinoku and El Desperado win. Suzuki Gun picks up the win in the opening match. The next match saw Jushin Thunder Liger, Satoshi Kojima, and Hiroshi Tenzan battle Tiger Mask, Manabu Nakanishi, and Yuji Nagata, which, if you've never seen some of those talents in the ring, one of the things, they always put on a show. It's always top quality matches, and this is a high spot highlight reel. Every person in that ring in this particular match is able to hit something insane. And Yuji Nagata has been doing it for a very long time. Yeah, kudos to him for still being able to put on a show like he still can. The end sees Jushin Liger, Satoshi Kojima, and Hiroshi Tenzan pick up the win. In the next match, Yoshihashi and Tomohiro Ishii from the Chaos faction take on Yujiro Takahashi and Kenny Omega of the Bullet Club. I'm a little surprised. Kenny Omega comes out of what your Wrestling Observer called a 6-star match, and now I haven't seen him in a singles match since he's been back in New Japan. You should be capitalizing on that amazing feedback you got from that World Championship match in January and putting him into a premium program. Instead, he's doing these tag team matches. I don't understand that booking. I suppose maybe it's just because I'm an American wrestling fan who, they do rematch after rematch after rematch. But in this, I feel like the fans are left waiting, wanting to see Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada again, and they're just going to have to keep waiting. The next match sees David Finlay, Kushida, Juice Robinson, and Katsuyori Shibata take on Bushi, Hiromu, Takahashi Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. If you've never seen Naito is one of the coolest characters in all of New Japan. He's got this just brash arrogance about him. It's really, you either love him or you hate him. And in my situation, I love him. Hiromu Takahashi, another killer talent, high flyer. He's that whole team. Bushi, Sanada. For those who don't know who some of these people are, Sanada actually was a star in TNA wrestling. Held the X Division Championship a couple times when he made a tour over when they had a partnership working with TNA. But if you don't get to see these guys, you need to go on to Access Television and check out New Japan Pro Wrestling, because you're missing out on some of the greatest professional wrestling in the world. You get to see the main event, which was Jado Gato, Hiroki Goto, and Kazuchika Okada, the IWGP champion. They are members of the Chaos faction, taking on Tai Chi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Takahashi Iizuka, and Minoru Suzuki, which are from the faction Suzuki Gun. And this match was mostly Suzuki Gun. Lots of beatdowns. Hiroki Goto getting taken down for a while. A huge team up. All members of Suzuki Gun jumping Geto. Kazuchika Okada trying to make the save. It looked like Suzuki Gun had this one in the bag. At the end of the match, Tai Chi is mocking the Rainmaker. For those who don't know what the Rainmaker is, there's a specific waist lock spinning clothesline that Kazuchika Okada does. And when he does it, he does this pose in the middle of the ring. So Tai Chi is mocking that pose, and then he gets lit up with a drop kick and planted for the Rainmaker for the win. And as Goto is outside the ring, he's holding out Minoru Suzuki, who's the leader of the Suzuki Gun faction. He's holding him out, and they end up picking up the win. So the Chaos faction, very successful night. Kazuchika Okada's team, you gotta see them win, because you got to keep the momentum. I think they're going to build to a rematch with Okada and Omega. At least that's what I'm hoping. Then later in the show, they had the actual tournament matches for the New Japan Cup. So the first match sees Yuji Nagata take on Tanga Loa. Tanga Loa, a young wrestler, great wrestler. He's going to have a bright future, but Yuji Nagata goes over him in the opening bout. Toru Yano takes on Tama Tonga. Again, Tama Tonga, great tag team wrestler, but really not ready to step up and take that main event singles push yet. So Toru Yano moves on. Michael Elgin against Bad Luck Fale. That actually was the match that I look forward to the most. And it ends up seeing Bad Luck Fale pick up the win over Michael Elgin, who has really, the last 12 months or so, Michael Elgin has established himself as a top draw in New Japan. He's opened his own company here in the United States. He was with Ring of Honor. He's done some things with WWN and things in Europe. So he's all over the place. So these two, they held so much potential in this match. Bad Luck Fale picks up the win and moves on to the second round. And in the last match of the night, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who has been the staple flag bearer for New Japan Pro Wrestling for several years now, his career seems to be taking a severe dive. He went from the pinnacle of success in 2015 to now only a year and a half later, he falls in the first round of the tournament to Evil. Now, don't get me wrong, Evil's a great wrestler. He's obviously a younger wrestler. He's incredibly talented. He spits like that Dragon Mist in the face of Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's how he picks up the win. I get that you have like the schmaz ending kind of feel to the whole thing, but at the end of the day, when you have such an established star like Hiroshi Tanahashi, you got to give him a win here and there, and I can't remember the last time he won a match, and that's a little bit of a concern for me. So, heading out of the first night, the round 2 matches that have been set up, Evil will take on Yuji Nagata, and Bad Luck Fale will take on Toru Yano. Now, tomorrow night, or actually tonight, because I'm recording this in the morning, Katsuhori Shibata is going to take on Minoru Suzuki. Juice Robinson will take on Yujiro Takahashi. Tomohiro Ishii will take on Kenny Omega. And Yoshihashi will take on Sanada. I fully expect Kenny Omega to make it to the finals of this tournament. I don't know if they'll have him win, but he definitely, in my opinion, will make it to the final. But otherwise, there's some interesting matchups that could still take place in this tournament. Today in pro wrestling history, 9 years ago, famed football player and wrestler Ernie Ladd, they used to call him the Big Cat Ernie Ladd, WWE Hall of Famer, he dies of colon cancer at the age of 68. Sad to see him go. He seems like he went too quickly. When I was a child, in the early 80s, he was the guy who you could put in a match with Andre the Giant and you could actually believe that Andre could be in trouble. Had some great matches with Andre and everybody else for that matter. I mean, Ernie Ladd had matches with Ric Flair and Harley Race and the Briscoes and all these old school NWA guys, and he did so much for the business. Would have been nice to see him win a world championship, but that was a few years before that happened. Ron Simmons would be the first person to do that, but Ernie Ladd certainly deserved it, but he was very good at getting the subordinate titles, the United States Championship and things of that nature. 3 years ago, Daniel Bryan this is the night where he comes out and he's challenging Triple H to a match at WrestleMania 30, and this is the night that he pretty much forces his hand, making him agree to a match at WrestleMania 30. So that was 3 years ago, and happy 23rd birthday to JoJo Offerman, the announcer from WWE, who, you know, replacing Lillian Garcia is got to be a monumental task, but she's doing a pretty good job. So happy birthday to JoJo. Our look back match for this episode, Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair, cage match, Michael Hayes referee. You pull that up, you will see the match where Kerry Von Erich battles Ric Flair on, I believe it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I can't remember to be sure, but Michael Hayes is the referee. Michael Hayes is a good guy. This is when they're still baby faces. The Freebirds are there and they're buddy-buddy with the Von Erichs. And in this match, to set up this monstrous Freebird versus Von Erich feud that is going to captivate world-class wrestling for years, this is the match where Kerry Von Erich is beating down Ric Flair. Ric Flair gets in Michael Hayes' face. Michael Hayes takes a shot at Flair and puts him down, and he drags Kerry Von Erich over and puts him on Flair for the pin, and Kerry Von Erich refuses to take the win that way. He wants to win clean. You know, he won't take the pin, and it ends up being one of these things where Michael Hayes says, "The heck with you, I'm leaving." And when he goes to leave the ring, Kerry Von Erich's trying to talk to him, and Ric Flair knees Kerry Von Erich in the back, and Kerry Von Erich slams into Michael Hayes, which makes him smash into the cage. And when Kerry Von Erich goes over to check on him, Terry Gordy is on the outside and slams the cage door in Kerry Von Erich's face, allowing Ric Flair to pick up the win and launching the long-standing feud between the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. So cool stuff, a great way to look back and see what's happened in wrestling past. We're going to move on to our fantasy booking section of the episode. You know we've been doing the 64-man tournament. We're up to matches 15 and 16 in the opening round. We got this week's matches, Kevin Owens versus Mick Foley. And match 16, one that I absolutely would give anything in the world to see, because I am a huge fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling and I'm a huge fan of the opponent. Kazuchika Okada, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, against, in my opinion, the best natural professional wrestler and entertainer combined in the history of the business, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels versus Okada, Kevin Owens versus Mick Foley. Go into the YouTube comments at the bottom of the page when you listen to this, if you go to YouTube, and give me an idea of who you want to win each one of those matches. I'll tally your votes, and we'll come up with winners, and we'll move them on to the next round, and we'll see who they match up with in the future. By all means, go online, give us a review, give us a subscribe. I ask that every podcast episode. I need you guys' support to help make this thing grow, make it better. Please do those for us. So no matter where you listen to us on Stitcher or iTunes, Podomatic, Podbean, Spreaker, you name it, YouTube. We're on so many different media. Wherever you hear our podcast, please give us a review, give us a subscribe, so so we can grow our audience and grow our reputation for this podcast, because we really need your support. This podcast only grows if you guys help us out, and we want to keep doing what we do for you guys and bring you the entertainment value that we can. Don't forget to check out the Fro Life Planning Contest. For those of you who don't know what Fro Life Planning is, we help students and adult learners find their path to higher education or a new career. Every month, we're going to be giving away a free 30-minute one-on-one phone consultation to a lucky winner to help them plan their next step. There's no purchase necessary. You got to follow a couple steps, though. The first step is launch iTunes in your computer and go to the Fro Wrestling Podcast page on iTunes. Click on the subscribe button and then go to ratings and reviews and give us an actual review. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like about the episode, and that helps us. That informs our ability for the decisions we make for future episodes. Click on submit, and then do one last step is to shoot over to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com/contest, where you can pop your email address into our contest server, and we can draw one name each month to receive that free consultation. If you don't need that consultation, that's just fine. If you know somebody else who's planning college or looking for a new career, we can work with them. This is fully transferable if you win. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us in episode 40, the big 4-0, where we review all the happenings on Raw and SmackDown, any projections coming up for Mania, any other news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all the music and sound effects we used in today's episode. Today's podcast is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games and bring that fun and excitement back by going to the www.thegamecrafter.com/sketchypeople to pick up your copy today. And to AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. We want to thank you for listening to today's podcast. We encourage you to go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Fro can do for you. Remember that Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. If you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to the www.tsjsports.com/WWE for my latest articles on the world of professional wrestling and all news and notes from football, baseball, basketball, hockey, everything you can think of. TSJ Sports is where it's at. Until the next episode, take care, everybody, and have a great weekend.